Have you noticed how many people out there are healing and likely struggling with life?
Whether or not people are actually talking about it, a lot of people are, and you might even be one of them.
If you're living the medical medium lifestyle, you may be doing the foods, the tools, the supplements, and still feel overwhelmed by the life part. Relationships, motherhood, identity changes, nervous system, purpose, and that quiet fear of, is it just me?
You're not crazy, you're not weak, and you're not alone.
I'm Eileen, an older mom, writer, former architect. And medical medium information saved my life, and my family and I have been living this way since 2012.
And I'm Amy, an autism mum, home educator, formerly worked in advertising, a near death experiencer, and we've lived medical medium since 2015.
Medical medium gives life saving information.
And here we support the life part so you can stay with it, trust yourself again, and come home to who you truly are.
Welcome to Rewild Renew, soulful discussions of life and truth. So, healing can stabilize the body, but it doesn't automatically create a life. And the moment your life starts reshaping itself, people hit the same three friction points or some version of that. Amy,
Yeah.
tell us about those
Yeah.
friction points.
Oh, as you can see, I'm raring to go. Yes, we see because we bump into this all the
Yes.
time. And the big mistake is that we think we found healing, so that's the finish, that's the end, and the symptoms are going to go down, and then life's going to go back to normal.
That's
And
what
I
I
hate to
thought.
break it. Yeah, I hate to break it to everyone, but hopefully people who are listening along will probably found this out for themselves already. But because what we really see is life doesn't go back to normal. There isn't a way back. Healing is the bridge, and what's happening is that you get stuck in that awkward middle, that place between
Before you
healing
name them, I
yourself.
want to ask you a question because this happens to me sometimes. Do you have somebody who's newly coming to this information and they're asking you about it and you're like, do I tell them the whole truth? Do they need to find it out for themselves? Like you kind of have to, who is this person asking me and why they're asking me? Because I wouldn't hit somebody with these 3 points right away. You really need to go through the process yourself and hit those points yourself. That is part of the healing process.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we always say my kind of standard line for people is like, well, healing isn't for the faint of heart, but it's worth the
Right,
it's worth the
exactly.
effort. Because you don't want to put anybody off because I think okay, let's go back a bit. This is what let's be very general. Obviously, people are very different and very unique within this, but let's
Yes.
be very general. Often people will find medical medium information, right? They'll start healing. And then, generally speaking, one of two things happens. They dabble for a while
Hmm.
until they need to not dabble anymore.
Right.
They dabble because something wise within them says, whoa, I am not ready to tip my life upside down. Thank you very much. Yet I
Right.
still quite like a coffee, a meal out, a
Hmm.
glass of wine, or
Yep.
whatever it is,
Yep.
and that's great. They found their way to the information. It feels true to them. They recognize it.
Hmm.
And what happens in the other camp, generally speaking,
Hmm.
is we go, oh my God. And it
Yep.
blows our tiny little human brains.
Yep.
We tell everybody within a 3 mile radius that that's dangerous. That's going to kill you. Stop
Right.
eating this. We
Right.
become really annoying until we learn to sort of tone it down within us and manage to hold, because we are assimilating an absolutely massive truth. So we
Hmm.
tend to go one of two ways, don't we?
Hmm.
Um, but
Well, so,
then,
sorry, I always bring it back to outside the subject because it's just human, right? It is about healing, but it's also about being human. Because like when I first started my architecture firm, my business partner and I were like, we're going to be really honest with our clients and tell them what the process is like. And we did. People would come in and we would explain in detail how hard the process is to renovate your home. And they'd go find somebody else who would lie to them because we just presented this horrible picture to them. And we're like, it was a really big lesson for me. It's actually an experience they have to go through. I can't tell them about what they're going to go through. I have to let them go through it and be there for them as they go through it because I do know what's coming and I do know how to manage through it. And so I
Yeah.
was really glad I learned that in architecture so that I could apply that to healing for
It's like having
myself.
kids. It's like
Yeah.
having kids. I always say
Yeah.
kids make no sense on paper. If you wrote out the list, you will never leave the house in under 10 minutes again. You will never like be able to do this, and this, and you will always have this, and this to do. You'd be like, oh my God, and you would get such,
Yep.
performance anxiety. You'd never go ahead with it, would you? Because,
Right.
you would sit and stew. So what I was saying is like, generally we find this information, we go one of a couple of ways, roughly speaking, but then we assimilate with the information
Hmm.
and we see, oh, right, this isn't just about healing my body.
Right.
And oh, oops, that relationship has shifted and changed. And oops, I don't like my job anymore. Or I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this world anymore because I
Right.
feel like that's really changed because I've really changed and I've
Hmm.
really changed as a person. But people outwardly don't seem to notice that. And,
Yep.
it's a massive thing. So we bump into these same sort of tripwires that we've kind of categorized,
We're
which I'll
also
name.
healing things often that people can't see, so they don't understand our suffering. We look just fine. I've experienced that a lot. And so we get called lazy or weird or whatever. And so we're dealing with this invisible world that nobody can see or understand. And that's what brings us to those tripwires.
Yeah, I mean, particularly you're saying about energy, like saying about being called lazy, but what about a lack of mental peace? People don't see that because we're
Mm-mm.
very good
They don't see
at
anxiety, generally speaking. They don't see depression. They don't see the exhaustion. They don't see it.
everyone can smile for the camera, can't they, for a moment?
Hmm.
Everyone can put a mask on and look the part and slap on some makeup and put a fancy outfit on and look like
Well,
everything's
you and I were
fine.
talking before we got on about everybody's using this term masking right now, right? And you're like,
Yes.
That's really caught on because people are feeling like they're masking all the time. They're pretending to be better than they are or different than they are. And it's exhausting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I think we hit a moment of recognize of reconciliation really where we're moving between something we used to be a life that contained a way for us to get sick, become sick, or just always be sick within to a life that we can find health ongoing. Healing is an ongoing process,
Hmm.
people. It's not like a
Yeah.
it's not a one and done, is it? It's like
I think
it's
that's
all the
another reason
way.
people get confused because if you haven't hit these points, if you haven't needed to do this, they're like, well, why aren't you healed yet? Well, because healing's not what you think it is. Healing is an ongoing process for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Not because
Yeah.
it doesn't work, but because it's a much more inclusive thing than I thought it was.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name the three common tripwires that
Here
you
we
and I
go.
feel like we see all the time. And then we're going to keep on that conversation. And I'm just interjecting here because I feel like you're going into the good stuff. So let me just
All
like
right.
pull back
All
and
right.
name these things. So like the three things that we find is that one, why am I not better yet?
Hmm.
Why am I not better? And then we will spiral, spiral, spiral. Have I done it wrong? Do I need to do this and find that and seek that and ask that person and pay for this and pay for that? Like we can really lose a lot of ground in that space.
Mm.
The other point is some variation of my family thinks I'm crazy.
Mm. Yep.
My partner thinks I'm crazy. My friends think I'm crazy. Like the conflict in relationships that happens when a person shifts and changes. And then the third point that we identify is feeling like my life's on hold while
Mm.
I heal.
Mm.
Everybody else is out there living their lives, doing their thing, and here I am. And I don't feel like I'm living. I feel like I'm stuck. Or sometimes we feel like we're going backwards, even. So
Mhm.
it's roughly these three things that I am now happy to let you continue with what you were saying, which I appreciate. You've probably forgotten what on earth was I
What
saying,
was I saying?
but I will remind you now because it was really linking into this first tripwire that we see of like, why am I not better yet?
Oh,
Because
right. Yeah.
so much goes into that. So I'll let you carry on now.
Well, and there's a million different versions of all of these. So, you kind of have to to see where you fit into that. Why am I not better yet? I think that it's really important. Again, what you're dealing with is invisible, and sometimes it's invisible to us as well as the other people around us. And so we don't get a lot of feedback about what's better. And I find this happens in my house. I see it with a lot of people. You are actually getting better. There are things that are better, but you're not recognizing it or focusing on it because you're still focused on the things that aren't better yet or that are still happening, even though they're happening less often to a less degree. And so, really, you really have to find the truth in that. Are you really not healing? And again, kind of what I was talking about, I wrote a post, maybe some of you saw it yesterday, about how I wrote a letter to my kids' school to express my opinion, my very strong opinion about something. That is a healing for me because there's definitely decades of my life where I never would have written that letter. Now, I know that letter is not going to change the school system. It's probably not even going to change my kids' experience. But the fact that I found my voice and put it out there is healing. It's me finding my voice. That's not me reducing a symptom, but it's still healing. And so healing incorporates so much more. And when you get into this, that's what happens to so many people is they come in to reduce a symptom and then they realize, oh, this is a much bigger game than I realized.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's such a delicate balance of
Hmm.
healing. It requires certain conditions, doesn't it? We often we've spoken about this a bit in the past, but we talk about the environment for healing, the setbacks. We've had setbacks along our way
Hmm.
on our healing journey. Overall, we're moving forwards. We've had some big setbacks,
Me too.
exposures, stresses of life.
Hmm.
Because the thing with healing is that we don't heal in a
A
controlled
bubble.
environment. Yeah, in a controlled environment
Yeah.
or in a sterile environment, and nor
Right.
should we. Like the whole
Right.
point is like to heal within inside life, which means that you will lose people, you might separate from people, you
Mhm.
will um you will have we all live in a kind of world where there's potential for exposures and things that we don't yet fully understand. We had a big exposure with swimming pools before BrainSaver came out and didn't know
Mhm.
what was going on. Then
Yeah.
BrainSaver came out and realized, that's really causing some major
My kids
issues.
had a big exposure, which I won't name on a podcast because it's very controversial, but it was a big exposure and a big, big setback. And it's not something we can avoid in this world.
The two are linked because
Hmm.
mine were experiencing it within swimming pools, yours were experiencing it within the air.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's there's so much to consider. And
Hmm.
also, I was saying to Eileen, like, if I had someone come into my house and take care of my kids for a little bit, although that's a job I really enjoy,
Right. If
I
we
like
had
to hold
somebody
on to
come
that one.
in, a professional juicer, making us juices all day and prepping our food and
Clean,
cleaning our
clean my
houses, wow, it would
house,
be a different story.
walk my dog, and then I could, sit down, I could relax, I could like get some stuff done, I could like, push the cleansing. But I don't, guys. I just
No.
don't. I'm not gonna have that.
And we
And
never want to
it's
forget, we when we speak to you, we know that some of you have it really bad. You've been in bed for a long time. Your financial system situation is extreme. Your support system is extreme, and these are real situations that we're all in.
Yeah, and another factor of that is the people around you. So
Hmm.
this goes into this, like, my family thinks I'm crazy. The second thing we identified, the
Hmm.
people around you. People don't understand, particularly some of the illnesses that we see today, have
Yeah, it links
they're
back
very
to that people can't see what's wrong with you. You don't have a broken leg.
yeah, well, I was going to say they're very like 2026 problems, like
Hmm.
things like depersonalization, things like OCD,
Hmm.
which I know has been around a long time, but we are seeing it on such a massive level, and how that plays into things like pathological demand avoidance
I
and
was going
pressure
to bring that one
sensitivity.
up because, boy, when you taught me about pathological demand avoidance, I was like, holy cow, I see that everywhere.
Yeah, but you see your children differently, don't you? Like, that's
Right.
the thing, and
Yes.
then your relationship
Mm.
changes, and
Yes.
the in the lack of knowledge of the people around us to help support us
Mm.
is a factor in how quickly we can move
Right.
forwards.
We
So, for
we deal with this a
instance,
lot, right? With younger people whose parents don't really have the understanding or the capability to support their kids in the way they need, um,
I see it.
creates
Well,
bigger problems. And
I
it's
see it
not
with
their fault, right? Sorry, go ahead.
I see it with people my age
Mm-hmm.
still living with parents
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't get a chance to heal, and
Yep.
because of what I've experienced, I can very quickly spot these kind of issues being really misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so yes, it is more frequent and more common amongst the younger generations, but also there are those people that kind of that are older that have that as well. Like, so there's so much that will feed into a person's um ability, well, not ability to heal, because that ability to heal is always there, no one can take that from you, but the
Mm-hmm.
speed at
And you're
which
right.
you
You're
heal.
right to heal.
And you're right to heal,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And then let's not forget that there is part of healing is in the realm of the miraculous too.
Yes.
Like you've got your protocols you can push, and you've got
Mm.
your soul healing and those things that you can push, and then you also have this capacity for something really miraculous, for mercy to be shown upon you, for and also in the unseen way as well, so that you may have had exposures and people and situations, crises is averted, but we often don't see that either.
Right. Exactly. And the soul
So
healing piece is something you and I love to talk about, but is less tangible, again, even less tangible. Like you may have had some soul healing going on, so you're handling situations differently than you did, but that's nothing anybody else can see. And if you don't acknowledge it for yourself, then there's unrecognized healing going on.
yeah, I have a handful of long-term sick people that I speak to, and have done for a long period of time.
Hmm.
And while their physical symptoms will still look as if they are sort of in a stuck place, the kind of conversations we are having and their sense of knowing and understanding and containing who they are as a person is a world of difference.
Yep.
So healing happens there, and the body's healing doesn't happen in isolation to the soul's healing
Hmm.
or the heart's healing or the
Right.
spirit's healing. So
Right.
you're healing some of those parts. I mean, the soul is in the brain, and that's part of the neurological system for one.
Right.
Like, if
Right.
you're healing some of those parts of yourself, you're giving your body a better chance as well. Anthony says in Liver Rescue, if the soul is scared, the adrenals are running. Like, you don't heal these parts of yourself in isolation. So you do have to take into account all of those factors. And if people are stuck, there's often a lot of emotional stuff, a lot of emotional noise, a real lack of mental peace. There could be something energetic as well that we are feeling, talking about angels, demons, and spiritual tools kind of stuff,
Right.
um, that that is keeping a person sort of more locked into that space. It's a very complicated space, but it doesn't mean you're not getting better. And it
Right.
doesn't mean that you can't break that doubt and that spiral that we get into. So,
Well, and these are all related because, like, the last one is I feel like my life is on hold. I'm sure you have some version of that. And I think one of the things that's related in all of these is there is a certain amount of grieving that one has to do in the process of healing. You are letting go of an old life. And there is that moment when you go, oh, I'm never going to be able to go back. Right. And there's a grieving process and that a lot of people don't really know how to grieve or how to process emotions. So there's opportunities to learn tools. This is often what we're working with people with. But there is a silver lining in all that. There is soul's gold in all that. And that is you have an opportunity to make a new life where um, it works better for you. And I know I feel this way. I think probably Amy, you feel this way. Like I'm not living the life I ever expected, but I'm so glad I'm living it. I don't want
yeah,
to be ignorant of these things. I wouldn't want to be back where I was. Um, but that's a process. That's not an overnight thing. And
Yeah.
we're often finding people, whether you're 3 months in, 3 years in, or 10 years in, is you're somewhere in that process. And in the meantime, you still get to live a life. And you still get to make choices, so your days have some joy in them, some goodness in them, some real life in them, rather than just solely focused on avoiding exposures and being nervous about everything.
Yeah. Yeah. This is something that as much as as much as Eileen and I are talking about this, like these things apply. My family thinks I'm crazy. They're probably right, but I'm still gonna go with this. I am a little crazy. I joke about it, but like, and I can feel like my life is on hold because I've got two sisters. We're all raising kids,
Hmm.
and I'm throwing everything into healing autism and healing their bodies and their little nervous systems and all of this kind of stuff. And myself as well. They're all like jumping on planes and traveling around the world, and their kids are at
Right.
school or have left school now, like so in some cases and stuff. And they're all eating what they want. We came from like a proper home cooking kind of family. Like no one's eating junk food, but like they're all eating what they want and doing
Yep.
this, and we are having to sort of engineer life around some of these things we need to do and
Mm.
like tighten the reins and loosen the reins at certain points. But like it's easy to feel like, oh, how come? Like I'm the
Mhm.
one doing all the stuff, and I'm the one whose kids can't be in school, and I'm the ones whose kids are autistic. I'm
Mhm.
glad they're not in school because I would choose this anyway. But like, it's so
But
it's
you
not
came
that
to
so
that
much.
choice because of what you learned about of needing to heal. That's the funny thing.
But I came to that choice because really what it comes down to is that I healed my kids and myself enough to understand that we are not that, that we
Right.
know who we are and we're not
Right.
that.
Right.
And so, they've got, so then this is the thing, like I have to, that I feel like my life is on hold is a
Hmm.
moment of, they're sending pictures from sunny Spain and I'm in grey England. Like
Right.
it's a moment
Right.
of something like that.
Right.
Okay. But the bigger picture, we have
Yeah.
to keep like understanding that
Hmm.
that life sustains itself it has an expiry date on it
Hmm.
ultimately, and where we are is it's providing a way to launch the kids in the future, my kids
Yeah.
in the future, and
I am a really extreme example of accepting what is, even though um, it's difficult. So I have four siblings who are much older than I am. They had a different father than I did. Their father passed away of a heart attack at 35. My mother, some years later, got remarried and had me. And so one of my nephews, I remember we were really little. We were like, I think he was 5 and I was 7 or something. And he remembers this conversation and has repeated to me often because it struck him so much. Because he said, I wish I'd known my grandpa, so his father's father, who is the one who passed. And I said, I wish that for you too, but if he hadn't died, I wouldn't be here. And he and I were really good. We've always been like best buddies, still are to this day. And it's just struck him, oh, right. If my grandpa didn't die, you wouldn't be here. And so there's this part of life that stuff happens. I won't swear. And a lot of it can be really unfortunate. But the great things about humans is humans can turn anything unfortunate into soul's gold. And that's the goal. So we
yeah.
can't stop the exposures all the time. We can't, we do have to grieve some things part. Grieving is a part of life. But we do have an opportunity to turn them all into something good.
And life's not fair, is it, ultimately?
Life is not fair.
I remember saying that to my kids. One of them said to me, "Oh, it's not fair." And I was like, "Life's not fair." And
Right.
then and then it was about a week later, and I was like, "Oh," I said something really silly, and I was like, "It's not fair." And my kids went, "Life's not fair, Mum." And I was
Right.
like, "Yeah, you're so right. You win." But I also want to go back and say, because if I don't say this, I'll regret not saying this. Like when I said, sister's sending pictures from sunny Spain and we're in grey England. We're going to get to sunny Spain. Like, I got every intention. It's just my kids are scared of flying. Like,
And you can be
it's
happy
not,
for your sister in sunny Spain. You don't have to be jealous or whatever.
yeah, and I am not, and I
Yeah,
genuinely am happy to see them. It's just my kids have, so what I'm trying to clarify here is that healing looks like going away, not staying home in Grey England and
right.
because your kitchen's there. Like, healing is the life part, it is the living part. So if I didn't clarify that, I would kind of kick myself
Yeah.
because it's
Well,
not.
also, you can have some great times. I hear from you all the time, some pretty cool stuff that you guys are doing in Grey England in your own house.
And it's not always grey. And there are those moments. No, we do. No, but we go out and we go on
Mhm,
holidays all around here in the UK, and we're
mhm,
doing all sorts of different things. And this is what healing looks like.
mhm.
It's that take back of life
That's
ultimately.
a great
Take
phrase.
it,
It's the take back and whatever
yeah.
that
It's
looks like.
taking it back piece by
Mhm,
piece and making it yours because this is the expression of the soul. I think we keep saying that recently, it's like the body, the physical symptoms and the body is one thing, but the life and how you live your life, that's the expression of the soul. And what we're really saying is that the biggest problem that people tend to have when they're healing is this expectation that there's not going to be any problems, that it's like this
right.
wonderful Instagrammable format of like symptoms going and weight coming off and skin
Mhm.
looking clearer and this, and then we're here and then we're running the marathon and we're yay, we did it. It's like it's not like that. It's a really
That's why I'm
messy bit of
always
stuff.
giving examples outside of healing because really this is just life. Yes, you are experiencing chronic illness and it's not your fault and you're doing and it's unfortunate and unfair and all of those things. But if it wasn't this, you'd be experiencing something else because this is life.
You look at business owners, big successful business owners,
Hmm.
and you ask them how they did it, and they will tell you about the blood, sweat, and tears, and the failures and the setbacks, and how that's what really shaped them. Like you say, it is life. And so, this expectation and this redefining of a healing path
Hmm.
is important. And it's actually the part that, for whatever reason, doesn't really get spoken about so much.
Hmm.
It's that, and I think it's because it's that really intangible soul healing part. Everyone's looking for soul healing or soul connection and soulful moments, but
Hmm.
the soul is the life. It
Hmm.
is you doing your thing. That really is where the soul is showing up.
Yeah, and it's interesting. This letter I wrote to the school was really kind of in a way about that. There's a sense that my kids have that if they don't acquiesce to the teacher's opinions about things, that it'll affect their grade or that it's too hard. And so they've gotten really good at figuring out what the teacher wants to hear and saying that. And that's unfortunate, right? But that's a lot of our world these days. And I think we get stuck in that too, in our healing journey. Like, how do we just, we can't even talk about our daily life without it kind of upsetting or surprising or shocking somebody. So we just get quiet about it. And it's learning how to talk about our life in a way that's um, uh, useful to us and to the people we're around. I remember I was at a family event and somebody started asking me about how I live, and I was talking about, and they were asking a million questions. It was a young man. And so I was just answering them. He was very curious. It was my cousin's son, and my brother was listening. And I realized at some point the whole room had gotten quiet and was listening to me. And I was kind of hit a quiet point, and my brother went, "My sister's a witch doctor." And everybody just started cracking up. I'm like, maybe, like, no, but I get the sentiment. Like, y- you just one curious person, and I was just answering questions. I would not have brought any of it up if somebody hadn't been curious and asking me the questions. So, these are all these um, places that we have to navigate in a different way than we've ever had to navigate before.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we have to recognize the task at hand.
Mm.
As is a little phrase I like to say is know the game you're in.
Right.
Like, understand what you're playing and therefore what the rules of the game are and what's
Mhm.
required of you. And deep change, structural change, not just superficial change,
Right.
like really foundational
This is
change
a
is,
home renovation.
yeah,
Foundation up.
is really what's required of you. And it's so worth it. And
It's so
you
worth it. It's a lot of work, and I think a lot of times what we hear from people too is just an exhaustion point from all of it. It's not easy. I remember one of the first things that I heard Anthony say must have been on a radio show, one of his early radio shows. We can have mercury in our bodies that we got in utero that came into our family thousands, hundreds or thousands of years ago, and we're now in the process of getting that out of our bodies. And I was like, holy cow, I'm not healing myself. I'm literally healing generations, thousands of generations of my family. This completely landed in my body. I'm the one that's recognized it and now has the tool to get rid of it. I'm not just healing myself. That's a bigger job than I thought I was doing. And for me, it gave context to go, it's not just about me, and it's not an easy thing I'm doing. I want to do it and it's completely worthwhile, but it's not just an easy thing. It's not taking a pill and feeling better in a couple of days. It's a deep, deep renovation of generations. And for some, that might be overwhelming to some people, but for me, it put it in context that really made me feel proud of what I was doing and understand that, yeah, it's going to feel hard. Yeah, there's going to be those days when I feel like I can't do it or I'm overwhelmed by it, but you just keep going.
and the privilege of, like,
Yes.
more than your personal choice, your free will there, the privilege of
Mm-hmm.
being alive at a time when that information is available. I'm someone
Absolutely.
who when I started this information, my I had a baby and a toddler. Like,
Me
what
too.
I wouldn't have given to have had that information before I got pregnant.
Me
But
too. Yep.
that wasn't to be.
Yep.
And then I love when I get so happy when I see pregnant mums using this information. I'm like,
Yes.
you take this information
Yes.
and you bring it into your life from the beginning so that you don't have the struggles that, like, I've had, for
Yes.
instance, and you don't have the heartache and the fear and the worry. Like, please do what you can with it, So I we have a privilege
We
to
do.
be with this information, and I think if we can flip that for ourselves
Hmm.
and come to this realization that there are these common tripwires
Hmm.
and they are probably supposed to be there, because if we look at it properly, we can really learn a lot from it and about ourselves. We learn a lot about ourselves. So we have put together a little free thing, a free resource for you guys to use to help get, because what we feel like is really important. We always say this,
I
don't
like
we,
what you
Amy?
said, Amy. It's a free resource to start to get your life back, to take the life back.
Yeah, and yeah, because, like, something that you and I say all the time is that everything starts with awareness. Like,
Hmm.
because once like the information itself, once you know it's Epstein-Barr, you go, I'm going to get the bastard. And you
Right.
go after it, right? But, like, if we just know, oh, I'm just having a moment of,
Hmm.
my relationships have significantly shifted. It doesn't change anything about your relationship.
Hmm.
But the clarity, I think I said last time, like, clarity is truth, confusion is darkness, chaos and confusion is darkness. I always say that. So the clarity and that moment of truth gives you something to steady yourself in those moments.
Hmm.
So we've put together a short video for you guys to watch and just kind of drill down for yourselves where
Hmm.
you are. We shared a little few stories and snippets of our stuff, but, like, to get more clarity. But in order to get that, you need to get on our newsletter, people. You need to go to rewildrenew.com. I'm always careful how I say that because I'm not very good at saying my R's. I would often they sound like W's. I've almost got a bit of a lisp
So
there,
that's
but
Latin. That's your Latin roots.
yeah, you could say so. I come from Italian ancestry, you know. But yeah, so you want to head over to our website, Rewild Renew.
You can also DM us on social media. You can respond to
You,
one of our posts. There's lots of ways
yeah,
to get on. You can go to our bios and social media, but definitely get our newsletter so you can get this free resource.
yeah, I can say Instagram's so much better. So yeah, go to Instagram as well. Check out the bios. Yeah, but make sure you're on it, and as always, we love to hear your feedback.
Yes,
You
listen,
know,
we asked you for feedback on our last podcast and we got some letters that really just made our day. So please, we love the feedback. This is how we get information to know what to talk about, what kind of resources to make for you. We want to know what's going on for you. How do you fit into these three categories? What is your version of what's going on? All of it. We want to hear it. We read everything. So,
we do absolutely everything,
mhm.
and we talk about it between ourselves, don't we, Eileen? And we're
Yep,
like, oh, how can we bring this in? So
yep.
it's important. It matters. We're listening, and you are part of the conversation. So yeah, make this an interactive process.
And remember just how powerful your soul is, and do not give that power away to anyone today. We started Rewild Renew as a way to coach and empower others to heal and connect with their souls. The views and opinions you will hear on the Rewild Renew podcast are ours and are not meant to be medical advice. Please seek professional assistance if you feel you need it.